Okay, here we go. As you can see, I'm back at home in my bedroom. I've been home now for about 2 weeks, as some of you know from seeing my shorts, and I have been doing a few bits alongside the Europe series in my shorts section about, modifying the bike, about a bit of green laning. There are some vlogs to come on that after this trip, but I didn't want to start jumbling it all together. It felt a bit extreme to kind of start posting stuff in the UK whilst you were seeing vlogs of me in Europe. But yeah, I'm back home. I've been home for about 2 weeks. It's been a lot of recovering, to be honest. I've been quite exhausted and quite fatigued since getting back. And I'm only just kind of feeling grounded and back to myself again, hence me doing this vlog to you now. But thank you so much to everyone that's followed along, subscribed, liked, still comments. Honestly, the comments have kept me going. Without the comments, I don't know if I would still be doing this vlog. So I massively, honestly appreciate every single comment that comes in, encouraging me to carry on, because it has kept me going. But anyway, throughout the trip, I was asked various questions about the kit that I'm using, about how I've packed, about the bike, about planning, about camping, about budgeting, about so many things to do with the trip. This is kind of my invite. I've written all of those down, by the way, hence this first vlog now being home. I'm going to answer some questions today, but any other questions you might have, please do drop them in the comments. This is your invitation to ask me anything you want, and I will answer it from my own point of view the best I can. But the first question that I want to answer is a very simple one, and it is the kit that I've used to film the trip, the microphones, the cameras, how I backed it up, etc, etc, very briefly, informally, but as to the point as possible, so you can get some information out of this video very quickly and very briefly without me waffling on too much. But I'll be the first person to say, the way I filmed this trip was by no means perfect. I decided to vlog this trip about a week before going. I committed to doing it, got the camera, got the microphones, had a few days to kind of learn how to use it all, and then I found myself in Europe doing it, So I was very much learning all of this stuff on the fly. I could have definitely optimized it. I could have done it much better than what I did. But I'm going to talk you through today exactly how I did it during the trip and things that I would have done differently had I have had more time or more the means to do so. And hopefully you can take some things away from this video should you want to vlog or film your own trip in the future. Here we go. Let's start by talking about the camera that I got for the trip. I bought myself the DJI Osmo Action 3 Adventure Combo simply because this came recommended to me from friends who also vlog. The 4 was available, but it's more expensive, and this camera does enough. It's so good. The combo also comes with this battery pack, which allows you to charge 3 batteries at the same time, so you can have 1 in the camera, 2 on the bike. I never ran out of battery once. It also comes with this cage, which has saved my camera multiple times on the trip. Really recommend this. One thing I can't recommend that comes with the pack is the helmet mount. The straps are Velcro, they go over the helmet, the seal for where the visor closes down. And as you can see, it won't close right down. So you get this little whistling noise constantly coming through the helmet. It's very annoying and it makes the helmet very loud. If you're going to do the same thing, get yourself a sticky chin mount. It will save you so much headache, like literally. The settings that I've used on this camera, just so you're aware, the camera is great. It shoots in a flat profile, which is cine, I think. It shoots in HDR 10-bit, and it also shoots standard. I wanted to shoot cine, so I had a flat profile so I can grade it really well, but I did not know exactly how I wanted to grade this footage upon leaving for the trip. So to save myself a massive headache whilst trying to edit on the go and time in my workflow before I kind of figured out a grade for it, I thought I shoot in HDR. This was a really good idea because it saved me having to play around with the settings all of the time. It also just balanced the highlights and the shadows for me when I was riding around. Super simple, super quick to grade as well. I would recommend that if you're not kind of acquainted with color grading and just want to shoot the trip very quickly, very easily. I also shot in 2.7K, which I kind of regret now. I wish I'd have shot in 4K, but the reason I chose 2.7 was because I am downscaling to 1080p. That is because my laptop at the time would not handle 4K footage. I've got a new one now and it does handle 4K, but I didn't want to kind of have to be editing footage on the go that was constantly lagging, constantly skipping frames and constantly kind of bugging out on me. So I shot in 2.7K. It's fine. I've learned in the future I will shoot in 4K, so just so I have that quality to go back to. I also shot in automatic white balance and automatic exposure, just because that was the easiest thing for me to do on the go. I did not want to be faffing around with that constantly. The trip in itself was enough. Filming it was an extra. So faffing around with camera stuff in between was just too much for me to deal with. And then in terms of the framing, it comes with multiple framings that you can use. I shot in standard D-warp for most of the talking stuff, wide, and then ultra wide for some of the riding. But just bear in mind, if you're going to do that and change the settings every time you get off, you have to change them back when you get on the bike, before you get back on the bike, because the camera's brilliant. So the camera's here. All you have to do to record on the bike is press the top button, it starts recording. When you're done, press it, it goes off. Brilliant, saves battery. But if you forget to change the settings, they will be the same as when you last left the camera. So if I was shooting a talkie bit in standard D-warp and then got back on the bike and didn't change that back, it would still be shooting standard D-warp, and that's not really what you want when you're riding around. It's a very narrow frame and it's not taking in the surroundings. So just remember, if you're going to do that, that every time you have to get off or get back on the bike, to change the camera settings back before you set off. That is the camera stuff. Let's get into the mic. Okay, in terms of microphones, I use the DJI wireless mics. There's a newer model out, but for exactly the same reason why I went with the 3 rather than the 4 camera. These are fine, they are brilliant. I'm not a professional vlogger or anything like that. I don't make money from this, so these have been ideal. They're cheaper. They cost about £219.99. Not cheap, I know, but sound is very important. And I would say that I still have not nailed the sound. I'm still getting used to editing it in post. I'm still getting used to the right gain for when I'm filming on the go. These also come with a battery pack that tells you how much charge is left in it, same as the camera batteries. 2 microphones and a receiver, which you can control the gain and everything else from. It comes with some small connections for your iPhone or USB-C to USB-C. Super simple to use. Using one right here, and they have been absolutely fantastic. So the only issue that I had with these microphones on the trip was, first of all, getting the right gain, because with the mic right in my face here, it meant that when I first got to Dieppe in the first vlog that I did going to France, I had it on 0 gain, so like nothing changed. And because the mic was right here, it was just popping out, blowing out, the sound was awful. Eventually I started to play around with it on the trip and figured out a better place to put it, but it's still not quite right. So play with the gain when you get them. Also, an issue that I had was to connect it to the GoPro, I used the USB-C to USB-C cable. So the GoPro attaches to the receiver, and sometimes the cable will get a bit loose and then I would lose sound, which was a nightmare when I've been recording for like 20 minutes on a pass or something. I've been talking for 20 minutes and I lose all that sound. And when it rains, you cannot plug it in because the door is off the camera and rain can get in. So there's a couple of downfalls to using a cable like the USB-C to USB-C if you want to record sound. However, saying that, you can record straight into the receiver from the mics. So you can have dual sound, so you can record straight into camera and you can also record as a backup straight to the receiver. I did not do that because I'm not ready to start matching sound to video right now. It would have just been extra hassle on the trip, and as you can tell, I'm trying to keep everything as basic as possible for the time being until I have more time to start editing stuff. So you can either record into one mic or you can have dual mics. So sometimes I recorded with one mic in my helmet, simple, or sometimes I recorded with one mic in my helmet and one mic in my backpack for the sound of the bike. Sometimes just one in the backpack. So you can record either way, and when you get into post, you can split that sound. It's a bit more work in post, but it allows you to record the bike and your voice at the same time. Also, just a heads up, sometimes when I was most of the time holding the camera in my hand and doing talking shots, I did not use mics whatsoever. I just use the in-camera sound, and that's also pretty good. The only time that lacks is if you're riding around, there's wind blowing or whatever, or you're trying to talk whilst riding around or trying to pick up decent sound of the bike. You can't really do that without mics, just a heads up. In terms of backing up, I had a 2TB SanDisk Extreme SSD card, external hard drive, which I backed up to most days with my laptop. There are ways of doing this without a laptop, but I just wanted to edit as well, so I took the whole thing with me, which was fine, by the way. I had an incredible bag, a Krieger bag, and I barely ever felt the weight of the laptop on my back, and I had it on my back for the whole trip. But I'll get into the equipment that I used and the packing and stuff in another vlog. I think the main thing when it comes to vlogging and choosing your kit that you want to use and buy is asking yourself the question, why do you want to vlog this trip? A lot of moto vloggers and stuff use 2 or 3 cameras. There's like an Insta360 here, there's a DJI or GoPro, whatever you're using here on the helmet, and there's one facing them as well. So you've got a big setup and you're recording multiple tracks at the same time. The only thing to be wary of with that is backing all 3 up is going to be a lot. You're going to need a lot of storage for that. Also, editing it would be a nightmare for me. I'd much rather just have the one. So my why, and I had to keep coming back to this during the trip, especially as the channel started to grow, was because I wanted to film this trip as a memory for myself. First and foremost, to remember the trip. Secondly, yeah, I wanted to share it online so people could see what I was doing, friends, family, whatever, you know. But as my following grew, I started to fall into the rabbit hole of, oh, this needs to be entertaining now. Oh, I need to spend more time editing now. And I kept having to come back to my why. Why am I doing this? I would say if you're going to do this trip for entertainment, to build a following, a huge following on YouTube, whatever, yes, you might want to invest in some more kit, some more cameras, and spend some more time shooting in, say, 4K, get some more storage, more backup, etc. Spend some more time on the grade. But for me, this trip was predominantly about vlogging it for myself, for my dad, for my sister, for my friends, for my partner, for Annabelle, to look back and say, I did this trip, this day was hard, and it was about, this day was great, and it was about keeping it authentic for me, you know, trying to keep it as honest and as real as possible. But I really wanted to talk about the whole mental aspect of it, the struggles that I had, as well as the incredible parts of the trip. And that is today's vlog. Summed it up really quickly. I hope it's clear and concise. I would say I've learned one huge thing, and I'm very bad at waffling and also talking about specifics and getting to the point. So I'm working on it, and we'll get there very soon, I'm sure. But for now, that is the equipment that I used. Any questions you've got about it or any specifics that I've missed, drop them in the comments below. Anything you want me to answer going forwards, drop it in the comments below, and I'm more than happy to go into detail in the coming months. And I will drop some links to the kit that I used. I'm not making any money from this, by the way. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm not making money from YouTube or anything like that. So these are all just my honest thoughts and things that I've used and problems that I've had, things that I liked, didn't like. Yeah, coming from me very honestly to you. Anyway, I'll see you in the next Europe vlog, which will be out in a few days' time.